February 25th, 2:21 p.m. District Court, at room number 9. We're ready to catch ourselves a big old fish. Well, now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand? We will hear from you now. Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But, Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all I've done these past 2 years. Please provide testimony to the court. Your testimony. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. And we will... use. I have a button for lit coals to put under your feet. I'd rather that than the tentacle monster. So yes, I will give you the truth. Lana, no matter what happens to you, I'll always be your sister. I know. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gaunt. Everything hinges on this testimony. The only chance we have to get Gaunt. And we will catch him. I worked alongside Gaunt for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated evidence for 2 years ago myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I arranged the court scene. My only motivation was to get Doc convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense, of course I'm sure. But Lana, if this is true, then that means Chief Gaunt has nothing to do with this. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of... But what she's telling you... She's not. I know my own sister. Whether she speaks stiffly or like that, she's hiding something. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. The defense might begin its cross-examination. There's one thing that I gotta press. So you did all this all by yourself? Yes. Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? Seems that I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's only a situation you deemed it was possible. The reality is, it was my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change your other statement. You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Doc? Something like that. If that was so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Doc was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away by the struggle. That's how it went down. She's trying to cover up with her lies with more lies. Oh, just to protect me. So when you found the scene like this? What did you do after all this is what everything was? Yes. You planted the tip of Doc's knife in the victim's room. Then you moved the body? But why? Why would you do that? You all of people should know, Wentworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad, but maybe... Why did you move the body? It was just deduced that it was by Chief Khan's death. But when the body was found by your desk, why did you move it there? For the simple reason for that is simple. Let's have the witness explain in more detail the reason why Miss Sky moved the pieces of the jar shattered. During the events threatened my plan. Oh, you mean... This one? I understand how you feel. You committed that crime to use it to protect your sister. You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered? If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to get to everyone's attention a single significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction in my testimony. You testified, and I quote, the pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan. That's right. Do you have a problem with that? It's simple, a simple oversight, really. You see the message written on the jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written his final moment message. Sadly, exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write his message on the jar, it must not have been broken before he died. He couldn't have written his name on a shattered jar. Order! Order! Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to the jar, this jar, and the message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical. Chief Prosecutor, it seems you are in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we are heading. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together information to arrive at the truth. Well, very well. The witness may now continue her testimony. Enough more fictitious information. Fine. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room, and I didn't check to see and have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. Fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. How could I? All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. You mean you were the one who wiped away the message in blood? I wasn't the chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Doc was the real murderer. But that's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well, the defense may now begin the... Well, we found a piece in a different location, so she didn't have all the pieces there. So... One second. Miss Sky, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you are unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gaunt's safe. In the Chief's safe, but how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about the final piece. There was still blood on it. But the witness testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off of them. Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief God got there before you! Boy, this is unlikely. The two other pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective. That may well be, but if everyone makes mistakes, even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. How can... Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When the witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken. Oh, that! There was no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness. I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gond. At the time, he was looking for Doc downstairs. Besides, even if he was... question is, if he did arrive there first, why did he hide the fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer this? No! No! I can't! But I want to! I wish I knew! Right, I'm not the one on trial here! I don't have to! Hey! I want to have a celebration! Wait, Your Honor, before we can have our premature celebration, let's have Damon Hunt arrive there at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar, take a piece, and hid one of the broken pieces. Question, what is the action called? Fabrication of evidence. But why would Chief Gunn do that? In light of what happened afterwards, isn't that clear? What happened afterwards? Discovering the scene, Lana Sky believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought God's aid. Lending her his aid, Gaunt helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark, sparing Emma. And therein lies the reason why Miss Sky became the Chief's puppet.
No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the Chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my... No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys make up the most foul lies to defend their client.
Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client, you stupid idiot! Shut it! Because I'm trying to defend you! I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth, Lana! That's Sky. Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of God's trap? Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Lana, may be right after all. What do you mean, right? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright? Miss Sky, please testify once more. But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie.
But I do remember knocking over Mr.
Miss Sky, if you will. I can't. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. If this cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will if you tell the truth. Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw. Alright, the witness may testify once more for the final time. And hopefully we'll have a fishy bite. I like fishing. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on the suit of the armor sword. Emma and Doc were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw what happened, I thought she did it. That's why I always saw the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Ifgant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But it was was a fabrication, and Emma might be innocent. Unbelievable! The body was impaled on the armor sword? You were the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning. What to me? It's a picture I took at the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed, but I don't remember receiving a picture like.
Anna must have known. See, Mr. Wright, she really does have faith in you.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture. I don't remember. You see this one? I don't remember. I seem to remember getting something from her.
Then let's check the evidence. There must be a picture there. Some.
Hey, there is a picture here. Interesting.
No, this is the actual crime scene.
No other detective saw this crime scene. Because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I rearranged the evidence.
Gasp, Mr. Wright! From his vest,
the cloth we found inside. That's rigged everything. This is a handprint, isn't it?
That cloth, there were fingerprints through.
But those are your.
Why are your lips turning all purple, mister?
Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flesh out the real murderer. Very well, the defense may now begin the cross-examination. Hold it. Hold it. I'm in off hearing. Come now, Wedgie. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. Chief God, you do not have the right to speak now. What? Now you want to make me out as the bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two to my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You've already declined to testify. You poor, pathetic idiot! That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must mean at risk. We are finally just sit back and relax. And enjoy the sound of that noose tightening around your neck. Ah, so what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but if I don't need to make any statements, what do the evidence will do to testify? I can still present evidence. Yes, it's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't. But somebody does. Someone? So, what's your excuse, Wright? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Neil Marshall and causing his death. Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt. Is that true, Mr. Wright? He wants us to blame Emma, doesn't it, he? Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now, and if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. What do I do now? If I don't... piece of evidence. Your Honor, don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. What? You lie. Chief Gaunt! You opened my safe. You took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Chief? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? Part of it... It looks like part of it's been cut out for some... You mean you had this piece of evidence and hid it? What? That means you, the Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of police department. I will give you the most vicious tentacle raping. No, I can't do that. Say that word. But there will be tentacles in all of your holes. Chief Gaunt. Scratch that word. Nobody remembers that. Let me say it. I will get tentacly on you. Tentacles on you, Gaunt. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as them. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean you'll admit to it? I do not. Well, I'd rather that than let you release tentacles on me. I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use this situation to kill Lana. So you really were manipulating her? I knew Lana. If I had to make it look like the aim lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted, Miss Sky? I told her to arrange all the evidence. So I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body around my other room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When I tampered this crime scene, I had two pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived to the scene, mind you. Two pieces of evidence. You mean those items in your safe? But why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? My ass. But I was sure my plan would work, but it was always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't allowed to let anybody blame me for that go. You mean you were calculating far ahead while forging evidence? What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make the police chief make police chief by dumb luck. See that straw fragment? I was the one that hit the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off the other pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, you mean, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on the straw too? Ho ho ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Wright, cough it up.
What are you waiting for, Miss Wright?
So you admit it, didn't you, that you were hiding the cloth that you cut off with the victim's vest in your... Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all, but it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say to me? Just a moment ago you said you didn't have any evidence you couldn't present. Foolish move, Wright-o. You should have shown it then, if it was too late. As long as I don't mess up here, the victim is mine. Okay, we'll show it. Okay, Your Honor, I do have Alright, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence shows it. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes. At least you've brought it out. There's a handprint on this cloth. Your Honor, the handprint on the lever. There must have been a strong impact to the so clear. You mean it could not have been forged? It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. We've already got it in the handprint, fingerprinted. We know who did it. Ho ho ho! You're slow in the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Wright-o had all this time to present this evidence, yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints is? Mr. Wright, do you really know? Yes, we didn't want to... Whoever is the fingerprints must be the real murderer. Whose fingers are they? Very well, I'll tell you. The person who these fingerprints belong to. Oh, Emma Skies. Emma? Emma Sky? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell? Because, Emma, it was a need to... Oh, ho, ho. You're really something, Wright-o. You already knew this girl did it all, and yet you still tried... It's true. Oh, tragic, but true. This girl really did shove us. Hold it.
How could you monster?
Miss Sky?
You knew who those fingerprints belong to. Oh, those all along, yet you acted like she really didn't.
Miss Sky, it's not over yet.
What?
I said the trial isn't over yet. Ha, but I'm afraid it is over, my boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. Your purposely concealed conclusive evidence that my friend is a serious... I'm looking forward to presenting charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter, cat? Got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Actually, I have a contradiction. And it just happens to... Oh, what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. The piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Sky, wasn't it? I'm afraid it's not possible. That's not possible. You see, the piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What's this fool blabbing about? I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this. And I'll bet my badge on it! What exactly does this supposed to be? This was the picture Miss Sky took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of vest was cut out? Yes. Yes, his shirt was showing it. It's a hard time to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest was soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs were punctured, blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth, there's no blood on it. Exactly. Wait. Yes, there's no blood on it. Ah! Since Miss Sky's fingerprints are on the cloth, there's no doubt she shoved the prosecutor's aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. No, this is nonsense. Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could have been? Who arrived at the scene before Miss Sky, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armor's sword? Then make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death. The person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. The jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted to only moments ago, that you personally cut off the bloodless piece of the victim's vest. Ironic, isn't it? That you, through the very act of creating insurance, you proved that you were the actual murderer. No! It's finally all over. Objection. Ho 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 ho. Was close, right? You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegation. What do you mean, refute his allegations? You see, that little piece of cloth is illegal evidence. Order! What's... Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Early old Wright concealed that piece of cloth. So then, and what's your excuse, Wright? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present. At that moment, the piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence.
But that's not fair.
Did you actually think you could best me in court? Looks like the laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Claim is legally correct, but almost true. Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? Time for me my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? I did not. I admit it. I refused to present it at one point. Aha! So the evidence is... Nope. No, it isn't, Mr. Gaunt. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then. It's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involving when presenting evidence. No, Ajit. Don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't truly believe. There's only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is evidence legal or not? Very well, let's settle this once and for all. You refuse to present evidence. Can you prove that you... I'm gonna spin this book around my finger real quick. This book of evidence law. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emmett Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more. What? You see, it's written right here in the book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have the approval from the police department. Rule number 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case or trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove its relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident. What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take a look at this picture. Sorry, but you can't... Can you recall when this picture was presented? That was so only a few moments ago. No, he's right. And at the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's cloth, a vest? Oh yes. No! It was in you that approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this vest from the victim's vest is the only one who stood before the prosecutor marshal in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer, and the only person who could... the killer was you! No, no. Mm. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Star, then convinced Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence transfer, I'd lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and then tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He went to LA Lost Item Report. I went to him to the evidence room, and all of a sudden he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened his evidence locker as he was taking out the evidence. He said, "It's not too late. I'm going to hand all this over to Marshall." Well, to be honest, I was taken a bit taken back by his work. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up Pestle 9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have led to more blood, making it nearly impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in it, so I held it right up and wiped it out. While I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my own fatal mistake. The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's lock. I used to be to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Gone, you lousy piece of... Leaving the prosecutor's car aside. How could you get Miss Scott involved in all of this? Well, she had much more to lose, as much to lose as I did, if the truth came out. So you took evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jaw fragments in the glove. Yeah, looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. Very well, they all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well in upon close examination. You must know that. Tell me, Worthy, why did you stand in court in the next